Okay. I think that's enough of that. I think we got the point. Oh, my. There you go. Trying to bring you a little spirit there. Those of you who are celebrating, those of you who are celebrating the holidays, trying to get you like a little spirit there. There you go. That was fun. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the following program. I am your host, Joe Nierman, a.k.a. Good Lawgic. Woo! I'm late tonight. I know you're all used to me showing up here like 4 hours earlier or something. Like some ungodly hour, like 6:45 p.m., like during like normal hours. Those of you who are old school, been around the block with me for a minute, you know that I shine brightest after when we start crossing into the pumpkin zone territory. So, yeah, tonight it actually worked out best, given the fact that I didn't really like any of the things I had to cover at 6:45, and because Robert Gouveia, who's normally supposed to be my lead-in, that's the way things are supposed to be working, and when everything goes according to plan. He went early tonight. So I was like, there's really nothing, there's no incentive other than, I guess, wrapping my day up early, which is definitely an incentive. But there was really no there's no added incentive to like go early and get that lead in because frankly, he wasn't going early. I mean, he went too early. He went very early. Did I lose something here? I feel like I lost my. All right, we're good. I was missing. I'm missing something. Definitely missing something here. Anyway, tonight, what do we got going on for you? First and foremost, I'm probably going to start off with what I have listed as the second story, which is Hunter Biden going totally scorched earth on everyone, just everyone. I got a whole bunch of clips from him. I was like, I need to share this with y'all. Hunter Biden. Some folks saying he's making a pitch. He's making a pitch for politics, trying to position himself as a moderate with aspirations of having a political future, if you can believe. Yes, that's right. 8-ball Biden is thinking potentially about what type of viability his candidacy would have in some sort of, I guess, state election or something of that nature. I assume it would be federal government, but who the heck knows? So some of the things he said were very aggressive, and some of them even seem to be bashing some of the work of his own dad, which shocked a lot of people. So I definitely want to cover that with you. The other thing I really want to cover with you tonight is a story which may not have floated on your radar. So I'm here thrusting into your radar, and that's what I have in the thumbnail. There is an ongoing civil suit right now from the estate of Antonio Mays, a 16-year-old boy who died in 2020 during the Summer of Love when he decided to participate in the whole Chaz/Chop operation. And Seattle authorities, after he had been shot, struggled to get him to get him medical care in any sort of timely fashion. And his family is claiming that was negligence on their part. I'm going to try and break down for you some of the legal arguments the state would have and that the family may have. And so you can just sort of mull this over and also discuss with you, like, who should we be rooting for here? Because honestly, neither side to me feels like terribly sympathetic. I mean, obviously, a 16-year-old boy dies. That's always a tragedy. I guess that's the bigger tragedy. But we'll see. I'll definitely get your feedback on that. I also have plenty of other stories going on. There's more on the Epstein releases. Candace Owens going off like a Looney Tune, thinking that she's got stuff. She's got finding sources that most people would say, like, you think that's helping your cause here, but she thinks it is, and more, all that and more coming up over the next 2 hours. What I also have here is whoever the highest bidder is. If we meet our goal, which our regular goal and our nightly goal is, if we get 15 super chats of $10 or more, that includes Rumble rants, etc., that the highest bidder will basically be able to have their choice of either a third hour of my content, or of me producing content, or call-in. So I'm going to leave that to the discretion of whoever the highest bidder is, assuming we get there, assuming we get to that goal. So that's where I'm going to leave it. So settle in for the night, pull those covers over, get ready for the dulcet tones of Good Lawgic as we break down today's biggest stories for you. And I do have a couple of side stories that I do want to start with you. I want to start off the night with, before we get in there, as is my want, some of the stuff that I don't necessarily bring up because they're not big enough to reference, but they are things that I feel like you should know about. At AmFest, Vice President J.D. Vance got up and said some things that got some other folks somewhat upset. And it was specifically this over here. This little clip right here.
Unlike the left.
Ooh, that was loud. That was a little too loud for me.
We stand against treating anybody, and I love what Nikki said about this. We don't treat anybody different because of their race or their sex. So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
That was the clip, which has people all upset, that he said, United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore.
And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are, not on ethnicity and things they can't control. We don't persecute you for being male, for being straight, for being gay, for being anything. The only thing that we demand is that you be a great American patriot. And if you're that, you are very much on our team.
So there you go. Very well received, as you would expect. Said some fairly base things there, as you would expect. And when you say base things, that just gets people on the left really, really mad at you, specifically losers like this schmuck.
So this is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy. When you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life. And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing.
That's never happened once in your whole damn life? Really? You never seen anyone apologizing for being white? Really? Really? You ain't seen that? You ain't seen that? Have you seen white people apologize for being white? They don't frame it quite that way. What do you call this? What do you call this idiocy? You never seen that? I never seen that. Well, take a gander.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take responsibility for every unchecked moment.
For every time it was easier to ignore than to call it out for what it was.
Every not so funny joke. Every unfair stereotype.
Every blatant injustice, no matter how big or small.
Every time I remained silent.
You notice anything consistent about all these folks here? You notice anything consistent about their appearance?
Every time I explained away police brutality or turned a blind eye.
I take responsibility. Black people are being slaughtered in the streets, killed in their own homes. These
By whom? Oh.
are our brothers and sisters.
Our friends, our family. We are done watching them die. We are no longer bystanders. We will not be idle. Enough is enough.
I will no longer allow an unchecked moment. I will no longer allow racist, hurtful words, jokes, stereotypes, no matter how big or small, to be uttered in my presence.
I will not turn a blind eye.
I've never seen any white people apologizing for being white.
Going for a jog should not be a death sentence. Sleeping in your own home should not be a death sentence.
Playing video games with your nephew should not be a death sentence.
Shopping in a store should not be a death sentence.
It is, because you basically don't want to throw them in jail. So, older black folk are in danger because you don't want to throw them in jail. Idiots.
Business as usual should not be life-threatening. I stand against hate.
I stand against hate.
I stand against hate.
I stand against.
You stand against your own skin. That's what you're standing against. You're standing here like a bunch of cucks who are all sitting here apologizing for the fact that you're white and that the black community has all sorts of issues with crime. That's what's happening. You're just apologizing for that and saying that it's your fault, which is apologizing for being white. So don't say I'm sorry for being white, but basically there's an implied guilt or sin that you have because of your white skin. There's no Asians here. Why are Asians any less responsible? Oh, because you're apologizing for being white. That's what this is. That's what this idiocy is. Every person here is a white person. What, no Indians? Why aren't they apologizing? Why aren't they apologizing? Oh, because it's not at all about apologizing for being white.
Against hate.
I will stand against hate in love. I will make my presence known.
And killer cops must be.
Why are there no black people here? Why are there zero black people here? I don't understand. Why are there zero black people in this entire ad? Either you're always so diversified, Everything's always so diversified. One time, the only thing Hollywood has produced in the last 10 years, which is exclusively white people, is an apology.
Prosecuted. They are murderers. We can turn the tide. It is time to take responsibility. Call out hate.
Yeah.
Step up.
You look better as a drug addict, brother.
And take action.
All white people. Every single one of them. When has Hollywood produced anything in the last 15 years which has only white people? Oh, it's only when there's like blame to go around and responsibility be taken. That's apologizing for being white. That's what that is. I mean, come on. Why are there no black people in there? Why aren't you taking responsibility? Take responsibility. Because they would try to respond and be like, oh, no, it's about a class privilege thing or something. No, it's purely about skin. Purely. That's all it's about. They even film it in black and white for that purpose, to make it this poignant thing that it's black versus white on a subtle, subconscious type of level. Film it in black and white and have all the white people coming up there saying it's all our fault. Oh, it's all my fault. Like freaking Jacob Fry there, making apologies and excuses for all the, I'm sorry, I can't agree to defund the entire police department. So don't sit here whining saying that I've never seen that happen. We see that happen all the time. All the time we see that nonsense happening. That's basically what the United States of America became under Barack Obama. Idiots. Idiots. I haven't seen that. That's why do you think we're cheering for J.D. Vance? Today I had the privilege of meeting someone who's one of the first supporters of my show in person. Went out for lunch with audio guy Joe and his charming wife. And well, for a coffee, not really lunch. It was coffee. And got to hang with him. And he gave me constructive criticism, as he is wont to do, and as I encourage. And he said, I do not do enough engagement. There has to be more engagement. There has to be more. So that is my 2026 resolution. And I'm going to start prepping even starting tonight. My new resolution is that I am going to engage super chats with a little bit more, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to try. Ms. Mo SC. Thank you for the super chat. 'Tis the season. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to you all. God bless. Thank you so much, Ms. Mo. Thank you so much. Kimberly Campbell 8355 says, I'm so glad to catch you live because I have a question that I need to see if you can answer. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm much obliged to you. And you push us closest to our goal, which all the more reason for me to express my gratitude to you, and frankly, everyone should be thanking you, Kimberly. Jessica Tarlov, bless her heart, said that she is a Reformed Jew. What does she mean by that? Okay, so you might have sometimes heard me refer to myself as an Orthodox Jew. So back in like the, I think, 1880s, 1890s, around then, there was something called Reformed Judaism. And what that was the birth of basically making an excuse to abandon Torah. That's really what it was. It's like, we don't really like having to follow so many of these laws. There's a lot of laws, but we don't want to just, say that we're going to like just abandon Judaism altogether. So let's create this new offshoot of Judaism where we're just going to sort of be embracing certain elements of our Judaism and scrapping the rest of it because we find it to be too challenging. So almost all of the food restrictions, they basically flush down the toilet because, food restrictions, there's a lot of good restaurants out there and there's that are not kosher. So there's that. All the stuff having to do with Sabbath and Shabbos. It's like, okay, maybe they'll light candles so that they remember that it's actually Friday night. But all the restrictions about that and that praying 3 times a day, oh my God, that sounds like a lot of work. So stuff that was like a lot of work, stuff that if you weren't too into it, if you weren't too into your Judaism, could be kind of a drag. So all that stuff, they're basically like, we're going to cut that out. There was even something else called Reconstruction. There's 4 different kinds of Jews as far as, and that's level of like, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess you would call it religiosity, if that's a word. So there's 4 different kinds. So as I understand it, I'm a little long in the tooth, but I'm not old enough to remember. As I understand it, I think Reform, it was always just Jews, and that meant Orthodox Jews. And then there was this movement called the Haskalah, which was all about like, let's become more Gentile-y, essentially, and associate more with Gentiles, because Jews traditionally had always been very cloistered. And Reformed Jews basically wanted to do that. and to blend a lot more. Toss away all the clothing, like, the yarmulke and the tzitzis and all the other stuff, and basically all the trappings of looking and appearing Jewish, while still claiming to have some sort of attachment to Judaism. So that's basically what Reformed Judaism was. So whereas, Orthodox Jewish men will go to synagogue 3 times a day to pray, they're going to go like maybe once a week. And like, whereas we wouldn't use electricity on the Sabbath. If it's on, it stays on. If it's off, it stays off. We wouldn't drive a car. So Reformed Jews would be like, oh, that's totally, there's nothing wrong with that. So a lot of the modern conveniences and stuff like that Judaism prohibits, Reformed Judaism said that's totally okay. At a certain point in time, Reform went so far away from Torah that there was a split off from them, which is where you got conservative Jews. And conservative Jews are ones who are sort of in between. Apparently, there's something called Reconstructionist Jews, which are even less than Reform. I don't even know how that's really possible, but yeah. Anyway, so that's what Jessica likely means when she says Reform Jew. Happy Hanukkah, Joe from Nuremberg, Germany, where the Christkindl market is in full swing. Well, I hope you enjoy your holiday. Thank you so much, Karen. I appreciate that. Reform Jew is just Gino with more steps. Pretty much. Pretty much. Gino, which is an acronym that I take credit for coining that term, Gino, which means Jew in name only. And it's really like the perfect acronym when you consider the fact that all too often you can identify them by their last name, which makes it like actually a pretty clever play on words. But the Ginos that I'm talking about, I don't refer to everyone who's Reform as being a Gino. I only refer to those people who wear their Judaism as a podium, or not wear it as like a cape, and then climb up on their Jew podium to say, I'm a Jew, and let me tell you why Jews suck. That's a Gino. It's like, somebody named like, Weinberg, Goldstein, who like basically, all he ever knows about Judaism is I guess matzah and dreidels, but like never actually wouldn't actually go to pray every day, much less 3 times a day, and sitting there eating his cheeseburger or his lobsters, which is things that we would never, practicing Jews would never eat, and then telling me like how terrible Jews are. So it's like, just stop it. So those are the people who are referred to as Jew in name only. Yo, Joe, off topic. Did you hear you can copy paste a lot of the redacted Epstein files to bypass the redaction? Surprise, surprise. The DOJ effed it up. I did see a clip of that. I did see that. I was thinking, I don't know if I saved it. I'm not sure if I saved a clip of it where they basically, if you go into the files, what Antonio was talking about here is pretty funny. It's such an embarrassment for Pam Bondi. It is such a humiliation. So they work so hard to redact the files and nothing's redacted. Because if you go into any of the files and you just highlight, copy, and paste it, and then the redactions are gone. Like, how inept do you have to be? That's like such an utter F up, such a complete and total F up that if it weren't for all her other foul ups, that would be enough to say that woman needs to lose her job. That is humiliating. It's utterly humiliating. That's why she embraces socialism. Very likely. Yeah, very likely. Reform Jews are very into socialism. It's part of their whole thing as far as like let's treat everyone the same. Just sent DM short video of Marianne Williamson leading a group of white people asking forgiveness for being white. Thank you so much, Kimmy Hunt. You always come in there with like awesome links for me and such a beautiful super chat, pushing us toward our goal. Much obliged to you for that. God bless you. God bless you, Kimmy. So what do we got? Let me see. Let me just, before I move on, because I was talking all about the whole apologizing for our own whiteness. So sorry I'm white. Sorry I'm so white. Here we go. I'm loving it already. I'm seeing this. I don't even know who Marianne Williamson is, but she's someone who ran for president and as like, you know, a member of like the Pink Poodle Party or something.
As I speak, I'm going to ask the white Americans in the room to please repeat after me. On behalf of myself and on behalf of my country, to you and all African Americans, from the beginning of our nation's history, in honor of your ancestors and on behalf of your children, please hear this from my heart.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is probably the first time she's ever prayed in her life.
I apologize.
Oh my God.
Please forgive us. With this prayer, I acknowledge the depth of the evils that have been perpetrated against Black people in America. From slavery to lynchings to white supremacist laws to the denial of voting rights to all the ways, both large and small,
that none of you have lived through, that none of you have ever experienced in any way, shape, or form.
All of them evil.
And that none of us perpetrated. None of us perpetrated. None of you have lived through, but I'm apologizing to you for it. I don't even know why. You never experienced it. I never did it, but I'm still apologizing to you for it.
All of them wrong. For all the oppression and all of the injustices. I apologize. Please forgive us.
Well, first of all, the government should never have made the deal with the big pharma that they couldn't negotiate. That was just part of the regular.
What a freaking lunatic this woman is.
Corruption by which multinational corporations have their way with us. You know, I want to say that while I agree with, I'm with Senator Bennett and others, but I agree with almost everything here. I'll tell you one thing. It's really nice if we've got all these plans, but if you think we're going to beat Donald Trump by just having all these plans, you got another thing coming. Because he didn't win by saying he had a plan. He won by simply saying, make America great again. We've got to get deeper than just these superficial fixes, as important as they are.
What a stupid statement. What a stupid statement. No, he had a plan that he was able to encapsulate in a catchy little phrase. That's really what he did, but he definitely had a plan. That's the whole point. And you're even arguing against yourself because you're saying we don't need a plan, but we need a plan. We need a plan, but how did Trump win? He didn't have a plan. Well, then why would you say that's proof you need a plan? Nothing you're saying makes any sense, including your stupid prayer apology to Black people. You sick woman. Anyway. Marianne Williamson. I thought she ran for president. I thought she did. I thought the name rang a bell. Madam Looney Tunes. Yeah. So, where was we? Should I get into this? No, let's take care of Hunter Biden first before I get into CHOP. Let's do the Hunter Biden stuff. Let's do Hunter Biden. That's definitely where I want to start. So Hunter Biden went on the Sean Ryan show, which you ask yourself, why is the guy doing that? Unless he's hoping to become part of the national spotlight and has political aspirations. So you have to ask yourself, like, when someone invests the time to go on a podcast, I mean, he's not someone who's lacking in having attention in his life. Maybe now he is, but Why is he doing this? Why are you seeking this attention instead of trying to feed your family? Why are you doing this? Unless you feel like it is feeding your families one way or another. So here he is on with Sean Ryan, and this is him talking about his own daddy's failure. We're going to start here with this. Hunter Biden admitting to Joe Biden's failure.
I assume that anybody that's running for president, if they could fix the immigration issue, would try to fix the immigration issue. Because we need immigration. We need a vibrant immigration. But we don't want immigrants that are coming here illegally, draining us of resources and being prioritized above people that are actual literal heroes.
Listen to this guy. Listen to this guy speaking out against illegal immigration. Listen, what the heck is this? What is this?
Whatever your position on the things that he did them exceedingly well and accomplished them. And he had mistakes like every other.
Whatever he did exceedingly well. What was that? Tell us more about that. I want to know more about that, what he did exceedingly well. I guess you mean prosecuting Trump? Is that what you mean? I don't even know what anyone believes they can say with a straight face that he did exceedingly well. They always point to his one stupid statute that he passed, which was a spending bill. What the heck is he talking about? I guess if his goal was wrecking the country, like he's dead, Jim is saying, yeah, he was exceptional.
Presidents had some that I may disagree with, but absolutely 100% had some real failures also. So the way in which they executed the withdrawal from Afghanistan, I think it was an obvious failure. I think 13 Marines are dead. I think that there was a better way to do it. And I think that
Oh, look at that. Biden basically admitting that Afghanistan was a complete clusterfart.
And I can blame it on his generals. I can blame it on the people, the way in which we did it. But my dad always knew this also, is that the buck stops with him. I think that was a failure. I don't think leaving Afghanistan, I think leaving Afghanistan was the right thing to do.
I cannot stand the way the Afghan withdrawal happened.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it because it's going to get me into a really dark place.
I hear your anger, and I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't be angry.
So that was him admitting that his daddy basically is responsible for 13 dead servicemen and women. So that surprised a lot of people. But there's a bunch of stuff that he said which surprised people. And a bunch of lies that he said because he's Hunter Biden. Here's Hunter Biden telling us about the laptop from hell. And we'll go to let's go to clip 7.
Is no laptop. That's bullshit. What was provided out there,
there's no laptop. Really?
There was no fucking laptop.
There is an actual physical laptop that somebody had. But the guy that said he had the laptop, the existence of the search for the laptop came before he was even a twinkle in Rudy Giuliani's eye. There were people.
Yeah, it was going around for, what does that mean? It was what does that even mean? Before? Yeah, Giuliani found out about it like a year later.
Talk to Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas literally went to Ukraine to get a laptop from Dmitry Firtash.
Lev Parnas, if you're unfamiliar with who that individual is, I've spoken with him countless times on Spaces, and I think he's about as credible as he has all the integrity of the other leading brand in a bounty commercial. That's how much integrity he comes across to me as having. And he's so twisted against Trump, so angry and bitter at Trump that anything he thinks that will harm Trump, that's how he will, certainly at the very least, cherry pick facts, if not outright lie, to come to help lead people towards concluding that everything in Trump world is evil. So yeah, he's he's a ridiculous source.
To get a hard drive, Hunter Biden's hard drive from Dmitry Firtash and Andrei Derkach in Ukraine, in Austria, 4 months before John Paul McIsaac and nobody ever existed. And so what they did is they cobbled together stolen, concocted, fabricated mishmash of digital information, largely which is, thousands and thousands and thousands of emails from 25 years. I mean, no laptop could have held all of that.
Okay. Let me tell you something, folks. Because I've been around the block for more than a minute or two, and I've been in various emails. I've had various email accounts. I have email accounts which have tens of thousands of emails that you just turn on the computer and you're logged in as me. You don't need to necessarily download the entire thing. You can see every email in that account. Most of them are basically arguing about baseball with some of my friends. So, but literally, yeah, tens of thousands of emails that are unopened. That doesn't even count the opened ones. So I don't know what the heck he's talking about. I don't know if he thinks he's talking to people who have never looked at a laptop. Maybe he thinks he's talking to people from the 1870s. But even I, Boomer Joe, know that, hey, that's hot garbage, what you're saying right here. How could you get that on a laptop? I don't know. I have no idea. No one can figure that out.
And so what they did is they put it all together, and then they talk about it. I mean, John Paul McIsaac, who is literally blind, has no...
And by the way, this is true. YouTube search Hunter asked about his laptop. He says, I don't know. And it could be mine. Maybe it's mine. Maybe it is. I don't know. Oh, how can anyone know? Laptop, schmaptop. I mean, is it... When you say mine, I mean... He went to claim it. He's like, give me back my laptop. Now it doesn't exist. I saw this chat also. I was planning on saving this for later. I'm planning on saving it for one of the clips I'm going to bring up of him later.
Oh, there's no videotape of me ever dropping off a laptop. There's no, so whatever.
You never dropped off a laptop?
I have no recollection whatsoever of ever dropping off a laptop to John Paul McIsaac, to his shop.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he did, though, let me just put it this way. Say I did.
He doesn't even say, he still can't say, I definitely never did. No idea who the hell that loser is. He can't even say that. There's a principle in, y'all probably have heard about Talmud a lot, right? You heard about Talmud. Trust me, from someone who's studied Talmud, not sufficiently, but spent thousands of hours of my life studying Talmud. Okay, that I probably know a lot more about it than anyone who you've ever heard the word used in Talmud before. And I'm going to tell you about one of the principles that's brought down in Talmud. Okay. Which is that there is a principle that, with certain exceptions, a given individual, most people struggle to outright lie. They struggle. Some people are so adept at it that they can do it without blinking twice. KJP. And others, Adam Schiff, it's not a struggle at all. But the average human being struggles with it. So instead of doing that, this principle comes up in Talmud where they talk about if someone is claimed as if Charlie comes to David and says, you owe me $100, and David says, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get the heck out of here. There's an automatic credibility factor that we attribute to David because, and I'm using that purposely, the David with a D for defendant as opposed to Charlie, the claimant here. Because we assume that most people wouldn't be able to be so brazen as to outright lie. But if David, instead of saying, no, I don't owe you $100, I owe you $20, then there's an assumption there's some legs to what Charlie is saying here. And all of a sudden, the parameters as far as the rules as to what David has to do at this point in time. In the first case, he would basically tell him to go jump in the lake. It doesn't have to do anything unless there are witnesses that can establish that David is lying. But we're talking about a situation, there's no witnesses, that David could basically, once David admits to some of the debt, so we say that partial admission is a recognition. Maybe we have concerns that you're just not completely comfortable with telling a complete and total fabrication. So you're sort of hemming and hawing it and feeling like, all right, maybe later on I'll find a way to get him the other money. And that's basically human philosophy. It's a human psyche thing that Talmud is sort of baking into how the law works. The Torah, they get it from Torah. They derive this from Torah law, and they basically come to a conclusion that that's why Torah law makes a differentiation between someone who makes an outright denial versus someone who makes a partial denial. And here, what we're seeing with Hunter Biden is he can't even make an outright denial. He's like, I don't know, like maybe. Here comes the partial denial from Hunter Biden.
In his shop. Recollection whatsoever of ever.
So it starts with, I don't have a recollection. I didn't do it. I don't have a recollection.
Ever dropped off a laptop?
I have no recollection whatsoever of ever dropping off a laptop to John Paul McIsaac.
I have dropped it off. I just didn't know his name was John Paul McIsaac. I definitely dropped it off at that store. And that definitely happened. But he didn't tell me his middle name was Paul. He just said, hi, I'm John Isaac. So no, I have no definite recollection that I dropped off a laptop by John Paul.
To his shop. And so what he did, though, let me just put it this way. Say I did.
Okay. So we're going to just say, if you're saying say I did, then you did. Once you do it, okay, but go on. Give us your thought process here, Hunter.
Say I took my laptop in to get repaired, okay? And you're John Paul McIsaac. And what he says is he reads and he goes to...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He sued the computer guy for the laptop. I don't remember there being a lawsuit, but I knew he wanted it back. YouTube search saying, I think I covered this. I don't know. Could be his. He's hilarious.
Repair the laptop, but then he starts to read the files in the laptop.
Mm-hmm.
And he reads a file and he sees files about Burisma.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, a board of which I'm on, of an independent private Ukrainian company, in which I am a board member doing corporate governance.
Okay. Then say that.
As an attorney. And he says that the only thing that he can think of doing is calling Rudy Giuliani?
No, the first thing he thought of doing was going to the FBI, which is what he did. That's the first thing he did. He took it to the FBI. That was the first thing. They did nothing. They buried it. So, no, that's not what happened. I don't think Sean Ryan really knows this story sufficiently well to say that's just not what happened.
He's a laptop repair shop owner in Wilmington, Delaware, whose store is 3.5 miles at most from where my parents live.
And then you got to make a left on Dean Street, go down for 3/4. I've never been there before in my life. He's clocked the mileage. I don't know who this guy is. Never heard of him before. He's just totally making it up. It's 3.36 miles. An 18 minute 20-second drive around that, depending on traffic. Oh God, Hunter.
Everybody knows my parents live. So if he had a laptop that he wanted to return, he thinks that the best thing to do is call Rudy Giuliani's lawyer, Bob Costello, and give it to my sworn enemy, who then take it, and in it, I will once again ask you this question. What crime has anyone ever
But there was no laptop, right?
No.
He's so much. He sounds like his dad. He looks and sounds exactly like his dad here. Oh my God. You look exact. He's looking. No, man. Come on, man. But wait, you just said there was no laptop. Now you're telling us like how to get to his repair shop.
Oh, he took a hard drive. He took whatever he said. He said that he had a damaged laptop, and what he did is
it's very convenient that he managed to just stumble on all these pics no one had ever seen you before on a laptop that had nothing to do with you. Yes, he called the FBI. That's the first people he called, and the FBI buried it for a long time. And then when they saw Giuliani was sniffing around for it, that's when they started telling social media, if you see a story that's anti-Joe Biden, kill it, because they knew Rudy Giuliani was about to put his hands on the laptop. It's Russian disinformation. That's what they told Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg testified that they came to him with this. The FBI knew exactly what was going to happen. This is just he's so funny, Hunter.
Downloaded a hard drive, and then he gave that hard drive to Bob Costello, and then from that hard drive, you have people like Patrick Byrne.
It was a copy of the hard drive. He had made a copy of it. That's what it was.
Byrne and Jack Maxey and a whole bunch of other people. Like I could list the names that come together. There's one woman that's like known as Cat Lady or something like that, literally. And what they say that they did is they cobbled together all of this digital material that was floating out everywhere. That had been stolen from phones, that had been taken from the dark web, that had been taken from the hard drive that John Paul McDonald.
Like the pictures of you doing crack in a bathtub, walking around your underwear. Those pictures, they're just floating around. Everyone's got pics like that floating around.
And they consolidated it all, and they made it out to be this thing. And so then the story doesn't become about the laptop at all, because there's nothing in the laptop other than a record of me being a degenerate.
Oh, okay. All right. So he's at least admitting that he's a degenerate. Okay.
Degenerate drug addict at the worst moment in my life. At the worst moment of my life, of people, clearly, me not taking selfies, of people.
No, because in there's also all the indications that you were basically being the rat hole for money to be filtered into your dad through Burisma. So there's that too. That's much more significant.
Clearly taking pictures of me in the rooms that I found myself in, smoking crack, doing drugs, doing whatever. Nothing criminal.
Yeah, it's actually really criminal how you were taking money in order to peddling your father's influence. Like really, really criminal. Like the most corrupt thing any president has ever done by far.
Other than obviously drug use. And what other
you were peddling your dad's influence when he was vice president. That's what you were doing. That's what we learned, courtesy of your laptop.
People would think is, abhorrent behavior.
10% for the big guy came from the laptop. That all came from the laptop. So yeah, that's plenty of criminality. You weren't charged with it. You should have been. And if you had been, your father would have pardoned you. The same way he did for the tiny little incidental crimes that they decided to try and chase you for. To show how fair they were being.
I mean, whatever. I mean, having sex with women. And so they take that, and then you can say whatever you want. No one read the stories. When you put me naked on the front page of the New York Post over and over again with a crack pipe in my mouth, it becomes like gold.
No, after a while it becomes sad.
Vine said it was the most read, the most followed story in the history of the paper.
Yeah, because it was suppressed. That's why. Because they tried suppressing it to protect your dad.
Wow. She's written and sold 2 best-selling books based upon that. And it's all about the pictures.
It wouldn't have been anything close to what it was. That was the Streisand effect. But the Streisand effect came long after the election, which is what your dad wanted. Man. Can't teach Biden any new tricks. So I saved a super chat before. I don't want you to think I was ignoring you, fans. Allegan News, I wasn't ignoring you at all. I was saving it for this clip.
Litigation sucks. I've been tied up in criminal and civil and in courts, and I mean, like I got I don't know, 14-15 million dollars in debt that I have no idea that how I'm going to be able to pay off. I have I mean, millions of dollars in debt that nobody's riding to the rescue for Hunter Biden.
Well, you can just make some new art and sell the art. Why can't you sell the art? It was selling like hotcakes when your dad was president, not because you were peddling influence. No. Not at all that. No. You can just make more art. Make more art. Make another $50,000 painting. It's your passion. You have to live your dreams, Hunter. Live your dreams. Make a living selling your art. Go on. Oh, no one's buying your art no more? No one's buying it anymore? No, I don't think Sean Ryan asked him if it was his Coke. I don't think, but I talked about the artwork that he sold while he was selling his artwork and what a complete and total scam that was, and was obviously influence peddling. The fact that he's struggling financially now and can't be churning out, multiple $50,000 paintings every week is kind of indicative of the fact that the only reason anyone ever bought any of his garbage was because he was peddling influence. He was same as he was with Burisma. That's all he did. That's all he's ever done. And basically, the reason that he's impoverished now is because there's no influence left to sell. Because his dad is no longer any sort of political power. So, yeah, he's going to struggle. Struggle's going to be real. $14-15 million worth of debt for living your life as a degenerate, and depending on your daddy's influence, that you could sell at market. Hunter's not getting his lawyer friends to keep paying his legal bills and taxes. Wonder why that happened. Yeah, that's also part of it. Yeah, exactly. Why would they pay anymore? He has nothing to sell anymore. When you have nothing to sell, he's basically he prostituted himself, and now no one wants his wares anymore because he's got nothing of value to offer them. So he wants to paint himself as some sort of sympathetic figure. You're going to struggle with that one.
My dad, entered the presidency as the poorest man to ever take the office, and he left the presidency, not poorest. I mean, which he's fine, but we have no generational wealth. I don't have any, despite what these guys say, like there's no billions of dollars buried underneath my dad's house. And
no, well, you'll inherit when your dad dies, I would assume. Right, all the millions that he was taking from Burisma, all the influence you were peddling,
Delaware litigation.
Yeah, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. This is C3 sharing out there. This is listen to Hunter and realize he's a master at scamming people out of money. He's going to make a move to be a centrist voice of reason now. He's Biden grift is on life support. Don't allow it. Let him starve.
Vibrant immigration.
Yeah, this is where we
don't want immigrants that are coming here illegally, draining us of resources.
This is him trying.
Also,
this is a political play.
And being prioritized above people that are actual literal heroes that are coming home, or that are still recovering from 20 years of endless war, or anybody else in our society, right? But everybody's talking about a vibrant.
Yeah. So, do I have any more clips of him? I think I might have one or two more clips. I just got to check over in the ghetto, make sure I didn't miss anything. This is yesterday's show. That's not what I wanted. Just making sure. I'm checking on my ghetto. Are you guys good here? Did you hit the like? Did you hit the like button? Do I have to beg? Do I have to get on the phone? Give me your number. I'll call you. Remind you to hit the like button. What's your number? 3, 4, 7. Go ahead. Give me your number. I'll call. I'll be like, hey, come on. Hit the like. You're still here. Hit the like. Remember Hunter's dad pardoned a whole Biden crime influenced family on last day in office. Of course, someone signed off on that AutoPad. He probably signed that one himself. Anyway, got two more clips of Hunter being Hunter. This is him unloading on Jake Tapper, of all people. He's not a fan of Jake the Snake. I guess perhaps maybe because Jake the Snake wrote a whole book about how his dad was incompetent for a long time. But yeah.
What is with Jake Tapper?
He's such a I mean, look, I almost got in a fight with Jake Tapper at the Super Bowl I forget when it was. I mean, the first Eagles Super Bowl, not the first, but it must have been. It was shortly after my brother's death. And he had done something that I thought was totally fucked up. And I told him I would fucking, if it weren't in front of a lot of people, I would knock him the fuck out. And this is how much of a pussy he is. He called my dad and demanded an apology.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty funny. Whether or not it happened, him claiming this happened, it's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. You gotta admit, that's pretty funny. Hey, come on, Joe. He said he wants to knock my lights out. Come on. He really should apologize. I can picture Jake Tapper. The story has believability to it.
He's a grown fucking man. He called one of my dad's staffers and he goes and he said, I felt threatened and Hunter owes me an apology. And by the way, I felt incredibly justified. I'm not going to tell this story because it's too convoluted. But just that's who Jake Tapper is.
When he says too convoluted, it's probably that's code for if you heard the story, you would think, why the heck would I possibly punch his lights out for it? Why would I possibly threaten to knock him out over something so trivial? But let me just say it's convoluted.
I mean, he talks big, hides behind a pen and a desk. And I don't think that he contributes in any.
Your dad does the exact same thing. Tell us about Corn Pop. Tell us about Corn Pop, please.
Way to the discourse or provides any real journalism whatsoever. And so I'm allowed to have my own personal feelings, but my whole point of it is that, like, who cares?
That's another good Glow. That's another good possibility.
Cares though?
Is he the one that kind of like? Did he write a book about your dad's cognitive decline and released it right at the very end of the
yes, right at the end, like within 2 weeks of the
way to jump on the bandwagon, bud.
Exactly. Yeah,
you're about.
And by the way,
3 years and 6 months too fucking late.
Yeah, no sources, no on the record sources,
no shit,
none.
Wow.
Okay. Nobody on the record will go on the record, but he was certain and he was absolutely this and that and the other thing. He's just so full of shit. Anyway,
he really came around to the narrative early on that one.
Yeah. Eclectic Deb saying, "Will future generations get a breaking story? Hunter was the jackass running the White House during Biden's term. I wouldn't be surprised." I would be. I'd be surprised. I think that the power brokers in the Democratic Party were running it, and they wouldn't want Hunter anywhere near there. So I personally would be surprised. Look at the size of the bar back there in the background. Thank you for the $10 pushing us closer and closer toward our goal super chat. John Jolene, God bless you. And yeah, that's another possible motivation for that little bar back here. Maybe that's why he showed up. He's like, look at what he got there. Look at what he got there. Maybe that's why he went. Well, trying to figure out why he bothered doing this appearance. And in case you think that he's any kind of sympathetic character, I need to make sure that before I close out on this topic here, that you remember that you always remember he's Hunter Biden.
You have a political party that's continuously saying you're a Nazi, a fascist, Nazi, fascist, Nazi. He's like Hitler, you know what I mean? And then you got assassination attempts all over the fucking country, and it's
I know, but
Sean, like I said at the
I'm
beginning.
look, I don't want to get into like the argument over and I really mean it, but like I hear you, I hear what you're saying, but part of me also says you don't want to be called a fascist. Don't act like a fascist. And what I mean by fascism is this.
What? So, in other words, here's this clown justifying the shooting, saying you don't want to get called a fascist. Don't be a fascist. Okay, yeah. Explain it. Explain how he's a fascist.
Is it deputizing a largest federal police force in history to go on America's streets masked without warrants?
Okay, time out for a second. Clown. You freaking crackhead. All the stuff screaming he was a fascist goes back to his first term. Don't tell me about stuff that's happening now as justification for why he was called a fascist. He was called a fascist before there was an assassination attempt. So don't go into stuff that happens in his second term and I'll say, if you don't want to be called a fascist, don't be a fascist. He was clearly called a fascist during his first term and after his first term. And that's part of what led to the assassination attempt. How dare you try and justify and say with your ridiculous, retarded claims that when he sends ICE agents out there and to try and remove a problem that your dad was more responsible for than any other person, because he pulled back from protecting our borders. And now he created this massive, massive problem that America may never recover from. And now he's trying to do everything in his power to actually try and fix this nightmare disaster created by your dad. And you want to claim that that's a sign he's a fascist and that justifies an attempt on his life a year earlier? Sick lunatic.
And drag pregnant women out of their cars in the snow.
Drag pregnant women. This happens all the time. All the time. There's this clip of a woman that people are screaming, she's pregnant, she's pregnant. No one knows who the heck she is. No one knows. But then I saw a clip saying she lost the baby. They also, it's like, how does anyone know she was pregnant? No one knows her name. How would anyone know she lost the baby? This is like the biggest myth story that's out there. Trust me, if this woman had lost her baby because of something ICE had done, there would be a lawsuit that would have been filed already. And everyone would know her name.
And kneel on their backs.
Kneel on their backs. And that's trying to invoke St. George as far as like he's kneeling on her backs. Kneeling on her backs. They were kneeling on her back. No one shows the clip of what happened right beforehand, where I had absolutely no doubt the one was acting like a deranged lunatic, because they don't just randomly pick people to throw down on the floor.
Sending people to prisons, death camps.
These people are monsters. I'm going to let him make his stupid little pitch here. And before I make a comment, I'm going to let Stephen Miller respond to him for me.
In El Salvador with no due process.
No due process.
I promise you that I believe this with all my heart.
You don't believe
is that you and I don't have any distance between us in what we think about immigrants and immigration. How many immigrants do you serve with?
How many what?
Immigrants did you serve with?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. Amazing people, right? How about in your personal life?
The best response to this, to this stupidity from this clown trying to justify an assassination attempt. The best response I can give you comes from Stephen Miller. Here's Stephen Miller telling you how stupid you are, Hunter Biden.
Anybody reaching out to me, of course, as you know, people put things into comms inboxes and general feedback comments, but I don't remember getting anything. But more fundamentally, this is another pathetic 60 Minutes hatchet job. They're trying to tell sob stories about trained Iraqi gang members who drill holes in people's hands, who rape and murder little girls. This is the gang that kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and murdered Jocelyn Ungary. Remember her, that precious 12-year-old girl from Texas who was taken from her mom and went through horrors none of us can even imagine? And you have these 60-minute producers who are living in comfort and security.
And your Hunter Bidens who are living in comfort and security
In their West End condos, trying to make us feel sympathetic for these monsters? Have you seen the tattoos, the face tattoos, the body tattoos on these killers? Would one 60 Minutes producer or writer agree to spend 30 minutes? I'll make a deal. We will pick someone at random that we sent to CCOT, just a random lottery drawing, and they will spend one day overnight in your apartment. Who was taking that deal at 60 Minutes? Nobody, because they know that these are monsters who got exactly what they deserve.
Can you imagine Hunter Biden taking that deal? Oh, sure. Hey, come on. We all know immigrants. You know immigrant Sean. You know immigrant Sean, don't you? Come on. Wonderful people.
Because under President Trump, we're not going to let little girls get raped and murdered anymore. And every one of those producers at 60 Minutes engaged in this revolt,
and
fire
Hunter Biden.
them. Clean house, fire them. That's what I say, Charlie.
Goes for the producers 60 Minutes. It goes for Hunter Biden. They sit there, big talkers, when they're not the one who has to actually live around these monsters. So it's all just purely a speaking point to justify their insanity. People are all sick. And Hunter Biden can go broke. I don't know. It's completely justified. Completely justified. Sickening individual. I'm glad I found that. I found that like right before Showtime, that clip of Stephen Miller. And I was like, oh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's good stuff. Let me do a quick check over here. Make sure I'm good with the ghetto. Are you okay, ghetto people? Are you okay? All right. You're okay. You're okay. This is not what I wanted. It's time for me to start talking about this Seattle situation. And I honestly have no idea who to root for anymore. I don't know. I don't like any of these people. I don't like any of these people. So some of you may be old enough to remember that the summer of 2020 was an unusual time in our nation's history. A handful of you may be old enough to remember the summer of 2020. Not all of you, obviously. Not all of you as old as I am, but I'm old enough to remember it, and a handful of you may be as well. And during that period of time, there was an incident that happened in the city of Seattle, where there was this area which had been taken over. There was a lot of anti-cop rhetoric after St. George Floyd left this world, and for another plane, be it higher or much lower, and basically there was a lot of rioting that was going on. And all of a sudden, masks and lockdowns weren't important anymore. The only thing that was more important than people dying was people going out and marching for Black Lives Matter. And in some of the western cities like Portland and other areas, there was a lot of uprisings. Minnesota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, New York, the West Coast, enthused and encouraged by some of their Democrat political leaders. And one of the worst places was the city of Seattle, where they overran a police station and declared a 6-block region to be a cop-free zone. No cops. Initially referred to the zone as the Chaz, which is the area of Seattle is called Capitol Hill, and the CH stands for Capitol Hill. And I think initially Chaz stood for Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And then you got the other one. What was the they ended up changing that name from the Autonomous Zone to Capitol Hill Occupied Protests. That's what they ended up calling it. The Capitol Hill Occupied Protest, or CHOP. So Chaz ended up becoming CHOP, as I recall. And they held on to it, and the police dared not go in there because they're a bunch of cowards and cucks and losers. And they said, we're just gonna let them be. And that situation stayed as it was for quite some time. And during the course of that time, there was an incident when there were no cops there. One of the first things they did when they got in there, of course, was they set up security and put cops in place. Because they're like, oh, we definitely need to have security. And during the course of that whole deal, there was an incident where, unfortunately, 16-year-old boy perished due to gunshot wounds. This is some video, I think, taken right after he was shot.
Touch shit!
You'll notice, by the way, that all they care about is not really so much the kid who's shot, 16-year-old kid, boy, Antonio Mays. No, they're worried about evidence.
Unless you see any shells on the ground, pick those up, pocket them, take them home. Hell yeah, no evidence. No evidence. Pick that shit up, yep. Pick up my shells. I want to get the fuck out of here. Well, thank you. Yeah, hey, I'm sorry I got to take off, but I don't trust your cops. I don't trust, but you needed to be here. Yeah, y'all don't know who I am. I know. Well, I don't care to know. All I know is thank you. That's it. You know they left y'all, right? They literally left y'all. They came down the street and did a U-turn and left y'all. This is exactly why I'm here, because I'm sick and tired of them making it seem like this place is a godforsaken, ridden place, but y'all are the only people taking care of y'all people. I literally have been here. I told my editor that I'm not going to fucking cover Pride. I want to be here because they are out here fucking with y'all and telling a different story. And here goes the ambulance. I hear them down there too. No, and nobody is going to witness anything.
This is the reporter, making sure no one's going to witness anything.
Is justified over a dead person? Of course, this white man is telling the truth. I think this is this person drove across the field. Okay. And 2 minutes before this happened. And I'm ready to go up here. There was shots fired up the field. There was shots fired
All right. So that's the clip right there. That was the vehicle that white vehicle was the vehicle that Antonio Mays was in. And so this case has been going on. So now Antonio Mays died during the course of, he was shot while he was in the CHOP, and apparently medics started driving in, then they were freaked out, or for one reason or another left without taking him. And now the city of Seattle is being sued in a civil suit for their negligence in failing to administer proper care, resulting in his death. This is a lawsuit which undoubtedly has been going on for several years, but now is the trial. They're finally coming to trial. And the expert testimony there's been expert testimony that's been brought in this particular case. We're basically trying to say that the city was indeed negligent. Kimmy Hunt saying, I didn't know legal could serve in the military. I don't think they can. I don't think they can. They certainly shouldn't be able to. And it's wonderful how Hunter Biden was able to glom together illegals and legal immigrants. Seattle voted in another socialist, Major Wilson. Big surprise. Big surprise. Anyway, I want to share with you. Just before you get too much sympathy for this kid, which, look, he's dead. So he was a stupid 17-year-old kid. I just want to share with you a little bit about this kid. So you can just, this is a report where you actually can see this kid talking. And this is important as far as how the law works with respect to responsibility. Potentially, it could potentially be a factor. You're going to see this kid talking in this during the course of this report.
In 5 years since a 16-year-old was shot and killed during the Capitol Hill occupied protest known as CHOP. Antonio Mays Jr.
There's something about this woman news reporter's face which just seems like, to me, she's working way too hard to show you just how sympathetic she is. I don't know if it's like the way she moves her eye or something and the constant bobbing of her head, but there seems to be a lot of very dramatic display from her.
Fatally shot outside the East Police Precinct on June 29th of 2020. His killer still hasn't been caught.
Yeah, so next week, the trial in the wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Seattle begins for negligence in the case, with some blaming first responders for not reaching the teen fast enough.
Fox 13's Jennifer Dowling talked to the teen's dad and a local journalist who captured some of the young man's final moments before the tragic shooting back in 2020.
The footage showed the boy doing an interview about the protest with Converge Media. Omari Salisbury says he's glad he was able to give the boy's father a final look at what his son was doing before his death.
We got people shot.
This live stream captured the chaos surrounding the fatal shooting in the Capitol Hill occupied protest zone back in late June 2020.
I'm up against the wall. It's a mass casualty.
In the mayhem, 16-year-old Antonio Mays Jr. lost his life.
The gunshots were so loud. Boom, 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 boom.
Journalist.
Now, who would think that when the cops aren't there, there would be violence? Why would there be violence? You don't have that bad influence of cops being there.
Omari Salisbury was recording as the tragedy unfolded.
It was undeniable. It's like, man, somebody is getting shot. And we look around that corner and you can see, like, it's people, they're running in, they're running towards us.
He says medical help was slow after the shooting.
They're trying to open a gate to get somebody up out of here. Medic 1 is 1 block away. They're locked in by barricades.
An attorney representing Antonio Jr.'s estate has since filed this wrongful death lawsuit. It states 16-year-old Antonio Mays Jr. was shot and left to die without the assistance he was entitled to by the government.
Everyone's entitled.
It goes on to claim he was alive and conscious after being shot, and that the teen bled out while trying to escape while being barricaded at the CHOP in an area which the city abandoned. The lawsuit states it was CHOP.
And they did abandon it. I'm so torn about who to root for in this case, because they did abandon this area, which was such an utter failure of leadership that makes me say, like, I really hate the city of Seattle. Let them pay. When I'm watching this part of it, I'm like, man, you guys stunk. How humiliating for you that you didn't have the cojones to go in there and take back your own area. Like, how pathetic are you? What losers.
Who were essentially good Samaritans and attempted to provide aid, deciding at 3:05 a.m. to transport Antonio out of the CHOP for emergency assistance rather than Seattle paramedics. Documents state a paramedics crew later met the CHOP medics at a different location to treat Mays.
Yeah, because they were terrified of coming in there. That's certainly what the city is going to say. The city's going to say you're a freaking war zone over there. Why the heck would they want to go in there? You tell me, you're a paramedic. There's lunacy going on here. There's no police. There's people with guns there who are clearly shooting people. for who knows what reason. You want to go in there? I wouldn't. There's no way in heck I would ever want anyone I cared about remotely go in there to treat someone. That would be my defense. Would you want to go in there? Would you? I wouldn't want to go in there. So, I mean,
clip that was found in our footage 5 years later kind of paints a picture of Antonio and what
almost certainly true.
He was doing just days before his murder.
Before that horrible night, Omari had taken this.
We're going to see this kid now talking with his little mask on, which the mask is obviously for safety and not to hide his identity. And here's a clip of this kid talking. And the more I hear this kid talk, the more I'm like, the more difficult, more challenging I find it to feel sympathy.
Newly rediscovered footage of the young medic speaking at CHOP. He's at right wearing a black and yellow shirt and white mask.
The police, their purpose is to serve and protect, right? Yes. And we agree with their purpose, but we do not agree with them because of what they've been doing.
Omari says the teen did the interview just about 48 hours prior to his death.
I would like to make it known that I wish that the police would have more supervision when it comes to their training.
It hurts so bad not to have him here today.
So I'm like, look, you basically decided to go there. He wasn't. It's not like he was from the area either. As you're about to hear this gentleman over here say.
There's not a day goes by where I don't, think of my son.
Antonio Mays Sr. became emotional when he saw the video.
How did you feel when you saw the footage?
Overwhelmed. And it was like a memory that I didn't have the blessing to attend. But it felt like he was here with me at that moment. And that just overwhelmed me so much. I couldn't sleep last night.
Antonio says his son was his partner in their family barbecue business and had a big heart. He says he left him a note saying he hoped to make him proud when he traveled to Seattle.
He traveled to Seattle because of this thing. I'm like,
I went up there to make a difference. He advocated peacefully for additional training.
That's not advocating. That's not advocating peacefully. Taking over an area is not advocating peacefully. No, it's not.
He was reasonable.
It sounded like
maybe he was reasonable, but he was all too happy to sidle up to people who were wholly unreasonable, and those unreasonable people killed him. I mean, maybe he wasn't he was all too comfortable with people who were demented and too aligned with their ideology, with their demented ideologies.
These shots were like 10 feet away.
Meantime, attorneys for the city have been mounting a defense, stating in documents that Antonio Mays Jr. died at the hands of an unknown third party, also recently filing a motion to exclude what attorneys called late disclosed witnesses. As the case moves forward, Omari believes a rediscovered video of Antonio Jr. will help his dad in the tough weeks ahead when he has to relive the tragedy at trial.
I'm hopeful.
Anyway, so I don't need more from this clip, but so now we don't have someone who's living there and caught up in the moment. Imagine some people might have lived in the area, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? My area got taken over here, so now I'm stuck here. No, this guy was not just in the area; he traveled specifically to Seattle, to this particular region, because of the insanity that was going on there. There's a concept in the law called assumption of risk, which basically says if you assume the risk, the consequences that flow from that risk are not something that you can then later pawn off on some third party. You assume the risk. No one told you to assume the risk. Now, maybe you can say it was irresponsible of the dad to let a 16-year-old go from who knows where off into Seattle. I don't know how far he traveled to get there. So maybe you could say it was irresponsible of the parents, because he's technically a minor, to let him go traveling over to the CHOP zone. But there's clearly an assumption of risk that's happening here. And I certainly think that that's a factor that any jury would be mulling over. Like, he put himself, you can't put yourself in the middle of a war zone and then start complaining when you're if your gear gets shot up. You don't get to do that. You put yourself in a war zone. No one told you to put yourself there. So that's this concept comes up with firemen, right? Fireman dies in a fire. There's an assumption of risk. Same thing with police officers when they get harmed. You assume that risk. You can't then later turn around and say, this is something I'm going to sue you for. So that's something that we should anticipate as a legal concept that I would think if I was representing this city, I would certainly be pushing very hard on the assumption of risk. And the other element I would be pushing in there is just what a complete and total chaos zone it was. And that's part of his assumption of risk. That was, and because there was such chaos there, it's very understandable that there was no way for anyone to go in there in a way that was deemed safe. Right? These are the defenses you're anticipating the city is going to be putting forward. That's what I would think they're going to be putting forward. But the plaintiffs are starting to make their case. One of the things you need to do when you try and make a case is you need to establish that there was negligence. One of the best ways to establish negligence is that you say there's a departure from established policy. Policies are designed to sort of, take care of handling things in the most reasonable way possible. If you don't follow proper procedure and don't have a good reason for it, which they may or may not have a good reason for it, like I said, you would think that the unique dangerousness of the CHOP zone could potentially be viewed by a jury as being a reason to depart from your normal procedure. But here is an expert witness testifying at trial on behalf of the estate of Antonio Mays to explain that this was negligence by the city.
Classify this as a system failure?
Let's do this at regular speed instead of the speed I normally do.
The system failed this young man. With this particular incident, like I said, the ball was dropped.
So would this type of confusion cause a delay in treatment?
Well, it did cause a delay in treatment.
So was there a designated rendezvous point communicated?
According to this radio transmission, it was supposed to be that car was heading to 14th and U.
Was there information communicated about the vehicle that would be bringing the victim?
It was.
What was that description?
They describe, of course, the make and model of the vehicle, the color, that it would have its flashers on, and the intersection to where they were transporting to.
Was there information communicated about whether the occupants were armed?
No, early on in the radio transmissions, I think, this may have been in Ms. Rashila's documents, that they go through a process and ask were there anybody armed in the vehicle, and they were told no.
Just because there's no one armed in the vehicle, that doesn't mean that there aren't folks roaming around there with guns. Clearly they are.
Told them. Who was told that?
The dispatcher. I don't know if that was the police or the fire. I think it may have been.
This is an expert witness. You should know that expert testimony is a unique animal altogether. It's a very interesting thing, expert testimony. They're basically not eyewitnesses. They're just explaining to you how things are supposed to operate. Expert witnesses, depending on their level of expertise, tend to get paid a lot of money for their testimony. A lot of money. And you need to have an expert witness if you're going to have any chance of winning a case like this. So this is usually a personal injury attorney is very reluctant to hire an expert witness unless they're confident that they're going to see success, because that's an out-of-pocket expense on their part, which goes up in flames if they lose.
The police first.
So in accordance to your review, what did the CHOP representatives do when they arrived at the rendezvous point with Antonio Mays Jr.?
Okay, according to the documents, they arrived at 14th, or what they thought was 14th and Union. They saw the ambulance there. So they went over, they yelled out who they were, according to the documents. They stated what they had, which was Mr. Mays and his injuries. And they were preparing to exit him from the vehicle when the ambulance drove off.
This is what I was thinking too. It's not the first time the paramedics called to a hectic scene, and they tend to not go in there until the chaos has subsided. So, yeah, to me, I can, if I'm sitting on the jury, I'm like, I don't even understand. You gotta show me a lot of negligence. When there's technically been negligence by the father because the person was a minor and the father who was responsible for his safety and well-being didn't make sure his son was safe. Well, so there's another concept, which this would vary depending on jurisdiction. I'm thinking back to my tort days now. There is a concept called the last clear chance, which in some jurisdictions becomes relevant. I can't speak to whether or not it's relevant in the state of Washington. But there's a concept called the last clear chance, which is if there's one person who's negligent and another person who follows up, and they could have stopped it, but they were negligent, that will sort of throw it upon them. So there's some jurisdictions which will add, but it's not a common thing. Most jurisdictions don't have a last clear chance rule, but that last clear chance rule would exonerate the earlier negligence. So assuming that you're correct, that the father was negligent, which I think you can make a fair argument that the parents, the father and or mother, were negligent in allowing a 16-year-old to go there, that even if that is negligence in some jurisdictions, that would be something that would be considered offset by if you find that there was further negligence which could have averted this whole problem, right? Or at least averted the fatality of the gunshot wound, assuming that's the case, which you also have to establish that he would have been saved. But you have to show that it's your negligence that caused the fatality. And that's another hurdle that these plaintiff's attorneys have, is they have to establish, but for your negligence, this outcome would not have happened. That means you need to establish that, they were in a position to help, were negligent in the way that they failed to help, that you have to establish a duty of care, and then a breach of that duty of care, and that but for that breach of duty, this result would not have happened. That's basically 3 different steps you need to establish. Now, if in fact we consider there to be negligence by the parents, so most states have something called comparative fault, where they really ask the jury to do the impossible, which is, okay, so let's establish that there's some negligence of party A, parents, some negligence perhaps of the child himself, some negligence of the state in failing to get to the kid. So they'll have comparative fault, and they might say that the parents are 20% to blame, the kid's 5% to blame, and the state is 75% to blame. Or they might say the parents are 80% to blame, and the kid is 0% to blame, and the parent and the state is 20% to blame. So there's some jurisdictions which will have a comparative fault. Like I know New York has that. Well, they'll be like, all right, so the total amount of damages is $3 million, and and it's 20% the fault of the state. So we're going to hit them with the bill for $600,000. So that's a comparative fault approach to personal injury. Personal injury, they would call this a wrongful death. Personal injury gets reclassified as wrongful death, but the rules by and large stay the same. The distinctions in wrongful death come in with respect to certain testimonies that then thereby may end up becoming allowed. A couple of other distinctions with respect to rules of evidence, and also with respect to the timing for when it has to be followed. But for purposes of this trial and assessing this part of it, there's really little to no difference between wrongful death and personal injury. So, or I would think that there would be no difference. Again, I'm telling you general theories about personal injury law, or what's called tort law, not what the rules are in state of Washington, where I've never practiced and never had an opportunity or reason to actually research. So I gave you that one. There's three different things that we can look at, right? There's three different approaches that are used. There's last clear chance. When talking about having multiple parties involved with being negligent, leading to a bad result. So you can have last clear chance, which very few jurisdictions have. Some will have comparative fault, which they basically give the jury an impossible job, because how the heck is a jury supposed to fairly come up and say it was 80% rather than 75% or 70%? You know, they can, but they just throw a number out and pretend that that's what justice is. And that's just the way, because they're like, well, what better choice do we have than letting the jury just decide that number? There's another theory, which I think some jurisdictions have, which is that you have to be at least 50% negligent in order to be negligent. That if it's comparative fault, that the state is only 40% negligent and 60% on the parents, that even though they're 40% negligent, we're not going to give anything. You get nothing, because the majority, because the party you're naming here is the defendant, is a minority, so we're going to count them as if they're not negligent at all. They're not going to be liable whatsoever. So this is really calling back to my first year of law school, like in 1995. This is stuff I learned in 1995. So I'm really going back 30 years here trying to dig this up for my brain. But I think most of that is pretty accurate, what I gave you.
So is it fair to say that they identified themselves?
Yes.
And they identified themselves to the drivers in M1?
According to the documents, yes.
Did they communicate that they had a gunshot victim?
Yes.
Did they communicate they were?
Now, I think Ms. Rashala did say in her document that, yes, they communicated that they were unarmed.
How did the medic one unit respond?
They drove away.
Did they assess the patient?
No.
Did they exit the ambulance?
No.
Did they communicate with people in the Pathfinder?
No.
So what exactly did they do?
They drove away.
Does the video
They drove away. Doesn't sound very good. That doesn't sound very good for the city.
That medic one felt
one of the reasons I want to watch this with you is because actually I want you to see the attorneys for this city. You have to see this. You have to see this. Because there's a fight between the attorney for the city and the plaintiff's attorney, which is such childishness and such. I was dying when I saw this.
Yes.
So
They made.
So this is actually a key moment here that I just want to go back, where she's basically now coming in with saying, this is the city's fault.
They drove away.
Does the video support your opinions that medic one fell below the standard of care?
Yes.
How so?
They made no effort. Like I said, they had the knowledge of what was inside the vehicle. I don't feel they made any effort to attend to Mr. Mays.
In the field, if you observe.
Anyone use the term. By the way, thank you, Master Debater, for your very awesome super chat. I really, really appreciate it and you as a loyal viewer of my show. God bless you. I am so happy that you are watching my channel, and I hope you continue to enjoy more of my content in the future. Anyone who uses the term ambulance is not an expert in anything but the urbanization. This is probably true. I didn't want to say it. But it's like, yeah, I don't know if she's getting like the $3,000 an hour that some experts get. When you say ambulance, yeah, I'm with you.
Somebody still having a femoral pulse. What is your duty?
To get into a hospital immediately.
So based on your training, experience, and review of this matter, do you have an opinion as to whether medical employees' conduct met the standard of care for paramedics in Washington State?
I don't feel it does, no.
So what's your opinion?
My opinion is that they through knowing about being dispatched, acknowledging the run, knowing about who was in the vehicle and the vehicle actually approaching them, I feel that they abandoned their position as paramedics.
Now, the drawback of having an expert witness is that at some point on cross-examination, usually they'll bring it up in direct examination because they know it's going to come. You're going to be asked, so how much are you getting paid for this? How much are you billing per hour? And how much do you get? How many hours do you work on this? Okay. Because the expert you're bringing in there is always going to come out with they know who's paying them. One of the reasons people hate experts is because somehow whoever's paying them is the one who's totally right.
Plus years as a paramedic, field training officer, ever seen conduct like this?
Since I've been an EMT rolling on into paramedic, I've never seen anybody willingly abandon in that fashion. No.
I would follow up if I was the counsel for the state. My first question would be like, have you seen anyone try to be treated in an area that has been declared cop free, where they've overrun the area and made sure that no police have been there? Have you ever seen that before? Like, what would you call standard protocol for that situation? That's what I'm just saying that's what I would be. That'd be the first. There is no standard operating procedure for that. In fact, standard operating procedure is exactly what Tam brought up earlier, right? It's you make sure the area is safe before anyone goes in there. Isn't that standard? That's what I would be coming back with, but.
So when EMS personnel communicate they're staged to receive a gunshot victim, and citizens bring the victim to them based on that communication, what does the standard of care require?
They require that you see that contact with that patient through.
Even with their bullets whizzing overhead?
Whether it's through dispatch or whether it's through physical contact, or verbal or otherwise.
And did that happen here?
No.
So there you go. So people feel like the case is going pretty well for the plaintiff so far. Maybe it is. Trust me that when you watch the next clip, you're going to be rooting for the plaintiff. I guarantee if you're not yet rooting for the plaintiff, you will in a minute. I can make you. You sent me a text, give it a glance. You sent me a text. When did you send me a text? Send me a text. Why would you? I don't understand why you would do that. Why are you putting in Hillary? I don't even understand what's happening here. I don't know what's happening here. This is what he sent me. Took a photo with him. I was laughing with him that I was wearing my Tim Pool disguise, meaning no hat. This is my Tim Pool in public disguise. No baseball hat. So I took a selfie with Joe earlier today, and he tweaked it. See if you can figure out which part of that is not actually real. I don't understand what's happening here. Anyway, but I digress. I wanted to share with you all, I told you that you're going to, if you're not yet rooting for the plaintiff, I can make you root for the plaintiff. I know how. And that is, I'm going to show you an argument between plaintiff's counsel and city's counsel. And oh my God, this is craziness. Here is a clip from the trial. We have over here the woman in the lady in red. The lady in red, I'll just call her that, is, what's her name? What's her name again? Nika something. She's city's counsel. What's her name? Alexandra Nika. That's her name. Alexandra Nika. Alexandra Nika, and this is over here, plaintiff's counsel. I think his name is Ocean. Oshun. Anyhow, Alexandra Nika and Mr. Ocean are not really on best of terms. And here she is, city's counsel, explaining to the judge her issues with plaintiff's attorney.
In an earlier ruling, this court sanctioned Mr. Ocean for gendered conduct and discrimination and harassment on the basis of gender.
Oh, plaintiff's counsel was sanctioned for his discrimination on the basis of gender.
It is happening again. As soon as you leave the courtroom, Mr. Ocean refuses to speak or identify anything to do with me, will not address anything to me if I ask him questions. Yesterday, I asked him a question. He turned his chair around to not speak to me. Today, I asked him a question, and he directed me to direct that question to his associate.
Someone commented on this video, which was tweeted out. This is the most Seattle thing I've ever seen before in my life.
His associate is my Sonny Ocean, who is not an attorney, is his paralegal, who is behind him objecting and speaking on the record numerous times. At this juncture, this does not happen to my co-counsel who's male. This happens only to me. This man does not display.
He's doing it to me because I'm a woman. He's doing it to me because he's see? I told you. I'll make you hate the city.
Appropriate decorum or discipline or adherence to this, Your Honor's ruling from before. This is unbelievable.
This little cuck attorney over here. He looks like he's sitting on something that most of us would find uncomfortable. He's got to sit here supporting this woman while she's getting up here, basically making a complete and total ass of herself. He's being mean to me. Your Honor, he's being mean to me. He's not listening to me. When I try talking to him, when we're when we're not in court.
I would like to respond.
You get to respond.
I'm sorry. One more thing.
No, wait, we're not done yet. I'm not done yet. I got more.
When I left, I was described as having a tantrum over this and demanding that you come back.
Because you were. Because it's true. Because it's accurate. It's the most accurate way to phrase it. You look like you're having a tantrum right now.
First of all, Your Honor, that's inaccurate. I never described anything about the way she reacted. But what I can tell you is that throughout the course of this litigation, Ms. Nika has attacked me on the basis of my gender. She had called me a mansplainer.
Welcome to the courtroom in the city of Seattle, where it's all a competition as to who is the bigger victim on the basis of their gender. That's right. She's whining about the fact that he's being mean to her because she's a woman. He's now going to complain that he's being discriminated against because he's a man.
Ms. Nika has attacked me on the basis of my gender. She had called me a mansplainer multiple times. For documents, she called me a mansplainer.
I can't believe she wrote mansplainer in a courtroom. Yes, this is the definition of a pissing contest. Oh my gosh.
She called me a bore in court documents. Now, this is an attack.
She called him a male pig, a male chauvinist pig. He's a bore.
This is an attack, Your Honor, which I take very offensively. I'm a father. I have a daughter. I have a wife. I respect women.
I'm a victim, and I care about women. Yes, this is real.
I respected my mom before she passed. And I take personal offense that she is weaponizing my gender against me. I'm not a mansplainer. I'm not a bore.
Oh my God.
I'm a male. And her attacks on me on the basis of my gender are textbook gender harassment on me.
Okay, direct your comments up here.
That's a sign he's losing, which is technically true. You're not supposed to be facing her. You should be talking to the court. He's technically correct in that, but it's a sign that the judge isn't too happy with you at the moment.
She's attempting to publicly embarrass me for my zealous advocacy. And I take offense to that. This is a very serious case involving the death of a young man.
This dispute is one that you need the wisdom of King Solomon. I hope the judge has the wisdom of King Solomon to parse through all this so you can get some real justice here in Seattle.
Ms. Nika's made multiple misrepresentations. For instance, yesterday I actually wrote her an email directly to her. She hasn't brought that up. It's a very respectful email. It was written to her. She's saying that I turned my back on her. If I did, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to turn my back on you. Litigation is very busy, and sometimes you are focused on one thing and you don't pay attention at times. I believe Your Honor I had addressed this issue with Your Honor, and we felt I asked to have.
See, and I agree with you, by the way. You're saying he's playing a game touche. I would respond with, I don't have an issue with her because she's a woman. I don't have an issue with that attorney because of her gender. I have an issue with that attorney because she's a lunatic. So that's the problem. That's really the problem here. It's nothing to do with the fact that there's plenty of men are lunatics too.
Court record present at any time when there's an interaction. Your Honor had recommended that communication be made in email. We have done that. It's not my goal to get into a battle with Ms. Nika. It's my goal to just advocate my client's position, but I would ask that she not attack me on the basis of my gender. So I am a man, and I expect to be treated as a human.
It's ma'am. I'm a man. I'm a man. It is the ultimate inclusion group.
All right. I guess
I'm beside myself. I have no idea what to say at this point. You outfoxed me, Counselor Ocean. I don't know what to do. I was supposed to take her side, but now all of a sudden, now you're a victim too.
I'll say a couple of things. Both of you have expressed to me in briefing and now this morning your respective views of the other, and I recognize that it is given that that it is hard to be in the same room for the two of you on this case. I didn't hear you asking me to do anything. You've brought this to my attention.
I'm requesting additional sanction for the behavior displayed against me.
And by the way, it's not the camera playing tricks on you. Yes, she does have like a very bad blue dye job in her hair.
Me in this courtroom as soon as Your Honor turns his back. The gendered language, the discrimination, the harassment, the blatant disrespect that Your Honor has already found this man guilty of by virtue of your order for sanctions. It just really honestly is obscene. And the question I asked
oh my God.
was to determine whether he had instructed his witness regarding the potential for survivability testimony that Your Honor had ruled on earlier. And yesterday, I voiced an objection. I asked on what basis was he telling my co-counsel not to speak with a particular witness.
So
it was all outside your presence.
Okay. So if you're moving for additional sanctions, I'm going to give you an opportunity, like you've expressed something here orally. I will give you an opportunity to respond in writing because I was not present when this occurred. I am mindful of my jury and our time and witnesses. So we're going to finish with the witness testimony this morning. I have not ruled on this. I got to put a place mark in it and come back. So
bring up one thing. The difference between the last time that false accusations were made against me is now I have independent witnesses here who I will be I will be
Okay,
gathering.
hey, counsel.
Let's have a hearing. Let's have a hearing as to whether or not I was inappropriately rude to this stupid woman, to this incompetent female attorney. let's have a hearing on that. That's what every judge wants to have. Yes, let's bring in witnesses now. Oh yes. Any judge would be like, kill me now. Oh my gosh.
Direct your comments to me,
Your
please.
Honor, I will be gathering declarations from these independent witnesses to ask for sanctions against Ms. Nika if this.
Okay, well, there's a procedure that you have to follow before you can request sanctions. And I've been very clear on that. We're going to bring the jury out. The witness is going to come back to the witness stand. We're going to finish the witness's testimony.
So there you go. Fun times in Seattle. And a judge who decides nothing. Imagine Judge Borowski there. He'd be like, I want the both of you to knock it off. You're a bunch of idiots. You're acting the embarrassment to your own profession. I'm embarrassed I ever was a lawyer just looking at you. That's what the judge should say to both of them. I'm embarrassed. What you just displayed here is one of the most embarrassing, is probably the most embarrassing moment inside my courtroom. And this is a sad day for the state of law in the state of Washington. That's what the judge should say. Your motion is denied, and your motion is denied. Grow a pair, both of you, ladies and gentlemen. Grow a freaking pair. Someone needs to make me a judge already. Make me a judge. Make me a freaking judge. I need to be sitting in the courtroom hearing these arguments just so I can set these people straight. Let me explain something to you, okay? You lose. It's that simple. You lose. Your motion denied. Sit down. It's really very simple. Judge a little mamby-pamby here. This is why you end up getting applications like this. Apparently he granted one of these stupid applications before. I mean, a judge can bring their own motions sua sponte. Oh, you're moving for sanctions because his language was too. I'm just going to sua sponte bring a motion for you to grow up. And granted, that's my order. My order is grow up. I'm moving of my own volition. Bring my own motion here, directing you to grow the hell up, you child. Stop embarrassing everything there is about practicing law. She'll waste her time writing out how gender language offends her, and she needs sanctions instead of defending her client. Well, her client is the city of Seattle, so there you go. That's her client. Unbelievable. Where we at on our thing? Unbelievable. Where we at on our? We got 9 out of 15. That was a good try. It was a good try. But that's okay. That's okay. I still love you guys. I love you. Doesn't change anything here. What did I do to get my trip? You were that was okay. This is on me. You were 100% right. This is 1,000% my fault. I meant to pull it up, and I don't know why it is I missed it. I had in my brain, I'm going to pull it up, and then I lost it. And you are totally right, and I am wrong. I hope you can forgive me, Richard Parker. This is the super chat. I'm even going to give it the horn. I'm going to give it like the $50 horn. There you go. And I just want you to know, Richard Parker, that I value you as a loyal viewer of this show. Much as I value so many of you, many of you don't end up sending super chats, but you see, I pull up people here on when people get gifted, I'll sort of be like, hey, that's a long-time viewer, whether or not they've ever sent a super chat. I understand that that's not for everyone, but I want you to know that I definitely appreciate you guys coming in here, sticking with my erratic schedules, and making sure that you pop on in here. And I definitely appreciate the opportunity to hang out with you guys. Richard Parker is saying Crowder sent his crew up there during the occupation. Did he? I didn't know that. They actually rented the warlord's palace. He wasn't using it as he was running security at Chaz, Capitol Hill Town Zone. The city changed it to CHOP. I remember thinking that CHOP is a much worse name than Chaz. Maybe the city changed it afterwards to CHOP. But yeah, I think they called it the autonomous zone, and then it got changed to CHOP. But Chaz sounded so much more badass. It did. And again, Richard, I apologize for missing your chat. I like you. I truly, truly like you. Where is... Let's come up with the side stories I was thinking about hitting that I put in the description. I never really got to. So maybe I'll save them. Maybe we'll save them for like another time, because I'm feeling like a little tired. I'm feeling like it's time for me to start landing my plane here. So with that, I am going to tell you that tomorrow evening I likely will do a late show again. I don't think that Robert Gouveia, if Robert Gouveia ends up going at 5, I'll end up going like at 6:30. I don't expect that he will because it's Christmas Eve. But so I'm probably gonna end up going at 10 o'clock tomorrow. That's what my schedule is looking like right now. But stick with me. If Robert Gouveia goes early, then I might move up to my new time of 6:30, 6:45 around there. But if he doesn't go, I'm much more likely to go late at night. So with that, I thank you all for joining me. The best way to figure out where you're going to find me is sign up at Locals at goodlogic.locals.com. Goodlogic.locals.com. All my notifications go out there. You'll know exactly where to find me. You don't have to be reliant on the willy-nilly notifications that get sent out by YouTube and or Rumble. And you'll be able to basically know you can click a link and just join in to the social media platform of your choice, and you can find me there. Labby was never meant for you. I stand by that. I've been standing by on that side of the in that camp for a while now, and I'm still in that camp. It was never meant for you. It was meant for they, them, and of course, as they say, you definitely do not want to eat the bugs. Don't eat it. Don't eat the bugs. Do not eat it. I thank you all. Have a good night, and as always, Godspeed.